Hey everyone, my name is James McBride. I am an instructor here at Eastern Arizona College, and I want to introduce you to Eastern Arizona College's Applied Computer Science degree. It's a 2-year program, and it really is designed to give you a solid understanding of what you could do within the world of technology. We are painfully aware that students coming in to college haven't really been exposed to what you could do with technology. And that's just really mind-numbing to us that high schools, at least in Arizona and most of the Western United States, really don't teach much about what you can do out there when it's such a fundamental thing. There are always high-paying jobs in technology. This degree is really broken down so that we can expose you to different areas of the IT world, of the applied computer science world, and you can then decide what you would like to do. So it's really a smattering of stuff. Let's just take a look at some of these classes. We start out with an introduction to technology careers. In this class, we're going to expose you to all the different areas that you could get a job in and have you look for jobs and what they get paid and what certifications are required and what education is required. One of the biggest problems that we deal with is somebody will come in and say, oh, well, my uncle, he works in whatever, whatever, and he says I should do Amazon AWS. Or I've got an aunt and she works in this and she says I should do Cisco networking. Those are very different things. They have some overlap, but they're very different. You might have somebody in your life that is an IT worker. They do tech support stuff, and they're like, "Oh, go into coding. You know, those coders get paid so much." And coding is totally different than IT work. What we're trying to do then through these courses is give you an overall understanding of this is the world of applied computer science and IT, and this is what you could do. So let's take a look. We introduce you. You go out and look, find jobs. You can see them. They're real. There's a job posting. This is what they get paid. This is what they want you to do. That's what we're doing in the first class. We also are covering some things that, to me, this is like the hidden IT class that everybody should have had. Because in IT, in applied computer science, we tend to focus on skills. Where do you find that? What do you click on? That kind of thing. This class also gets into this is what you can expect. You go out to work someday and you're dealing with app development or IT, there's these specific issues that you're going to run into. Computer-based systems, this is just common workplace knowledge. This is an understanding of when you walk in to go to work, there's a system there. Like we have a student information system. And how do you deal with that? And so on and so on. Then we get into IT fundamentals, which is really A plus. So this is an A plus certification based class, and it's all about RAM does this, CPUs do this, having this many cores means this, 64-bit means this, 128-bit means this. It's a fundamental of this is how computers function. Really, it's hard to get a job without that base knowledge. But then, of course, you get exposed to programming because this class, this one is totally different than programming. And we'll have people that'll come in and go, yeah, I'm going to work in IT. I like PCs and blah, blah, blah. And then they take a programming class and they just fall in love with coding. And then they're like, that's what I want to do. That's part of why we're leading you through so many different things. We want to show you the different areas out there so that you can find something that you really love. Of course, you have to take math and English and all that stuff. And we get into networking. That's CompTIA's Network Plus certification. Networking by far is the most fundamental class that everybody needs. So you do that. And then we get into web development. Web development is a lot more in line with coding. It's a lot more like the programming, but not quite. There's more design in there. And so you get exposed to that because web pages and application programming for web apps is huge. Now, then you get into a database management course. Databases run the world. Everything runs off a database. You go to Amazon and search a product, you're searching against a database. And so you gain the fundamentals. This is how data systems work so that you understand behind the scenes, this is what's going on. And we do. We have students that are like, man, I just really love these data systems. Well, that's important to know because that's very much different than doing networking. That's a different thing. Of course, we cover operating systems. We try to get in depth on this is how you run Windows. These are where things are found in Linux. Get you really exposed to those in particular. We do some Mac stuff as well. But Macs are basically Unix based. So if you know how to use Linux, then you can command line on a Mac as well. And the idea behind that is of course, anybody going into anything fundamental for IT has to really understand operating systems. And we're trying to make you an expert in that. Then you go further into programming, so you deal with some more difficult programming than what you were doing before. And then we do a cybersecurity course. So you will take basically a class on this is cybersecurity, which builds on networking and PC stuff, but at the same time, it's very different than those two. And so you'll take one class on this is the world of cybersecurity in case that appeals to you. And that's based on Security Plus. And then finally, the capstone practicum experience. This is where we try to place you out there, real world, in one of the places here locally, and they utilize you. They say, this is what you're going to do today, and they give you jobs and tasks, and you get graded for that. You turn in time, and you get graded. Then there's some electives that you can take. For instance, if you liked web development, you can take web development 2, server administration, which is not listed on here. But server administration as well. There's a couple of options for you to dig in further on some of this information. And of course, just to reiterate, comprehensive career preparation. We're trying to base as much of this as we can on what the real world wants you to see. And that's why we're tied to those certifications so that you'll know you're getting the proper education for what you're going into. And our goal, of course, is hopefully by the time you get to the end, you know, I love coding, or I love networking, or I love server administration, or database admin. I'm trying to expose you to all those different areas so you have a greater understanding of what you could do out there. And we talk about that as we go through these classes. We mention this is what you could do. But again, way back in that beginning course, you're going to have the opportunity to do searches. And I show you, hey, this is a data systems analyst. Let's see what they make. This is a network tech level 2. Let's see what they make. This is a security officer. Let's see what they make. And you just go through and see all the thousands of tens of thousands of jobs that are available within this field and how much you can get paid. And I'll just end with how much you get paid. You can look this up yourself. Lots of times when people talk about pay within industry, they often say, oh, you could get this. That's not what I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to say you could get this. I'm going to tell you the average of what people make, which is starting around $55,000 a year. So starting across the board for IT jobs, not including security. Security is about 70, but starting for IT jobs is, you get paid 55 starting. Many of the times just working from home will get you that kind of money. And so it's very lucrative. That's the average pay. That's not, oh, you could make, that's an average starting position. If you have any questions, you let me know. Send me an email, james.mcbride@eac.edu. And you can also just go to EAC's webpage and type in James McBride, and it'll have my contact information. Thank you so very much for watching, and we will talk with you later. Hopefully, you'll be in classes.